Thanks for tuning in to Ghostlight. This episode is a little different than our usual conversations. What you're about to hear is less of a formal interview and more of a chance to be a fly on the wall for an exciting upcoming collaboration between Endstation Theater Company and Stageable surrounding Endstation's world premiere production of Good Birth by Patrick Earl. Patrick Earl, how you doing?
Benjamin Reed, I am doing well. How about you, bud?
Oh, it's always a good day when I get to collaborate with Endstation Theater Company and Patrick Earl. So I guess we'll start by saying this isn't really a podcast, so to speak. It's more a planning meeting for a very exciting upcoming collaboration between Endstation Theater Company and Stageable.
I love co-pros. Love them.
Me too, brother. Well, this is pretty exciting because you wrote a play.
I did, yes, as part of Endstation Theater Company's Playwrights Initiative. It is a program that we have that helps burgeoning playwrights. And this is a play that I actually started before I was even a part of Endstation. So I kind of got grandfathered.
I'm very impressed, man. I think it's a really difficult skill. I can't imagine doing it. Maybe I'll try it one day, but I was really impressed by the fact that you accomplished it. And then when I read the play, I was so impressed. And I'm not just saying that. And I more likely would have not said anything and just been like, "Good job, buddy." But it really is an incredible piece of work. It is called
Good Birth. Yes, Good Birth by Patrick Earl. I guess now I should launch into a little bit of what it's about and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be good. Tell us
Um,
about the play.
Well, first off, Endstation, it's on a mission because Endstation, part of the Playwrights Initiative, is what I briefly mentioned. Is it's not just helping burgeoning playwrights; it's also by not only providing them funds to write plays, but also provides them with staged readings and dramaturgical and literary management help in that regard. But it's also about kind of creating an oral history of the Central Virginia region. Endstation is located, we operate out of Randolph College in Lynchburg, Virginia. And in our 20 years, this will be our 14th original world premiere. And that doesn't count all the dozens of scripts that just didn't make it to the main stage. Um, but what Good Birth is about is the origins of the Central Virginia Training Center. And that is kind of an innocuous sort of name. It's kind of generic, right? But it used to be called the Virginia State Colony for Epileptics and Feeble-Minded. And this is right across the river in Amherst County near Madison Heights, right across the James River from Lynchburg. And what this place kind of became was a center for the American eugenics movement. And if anyone is familiar with eugenics, forgive the explanation for those of you who aren't. It was essentially an American movement that focused on breeding out of our gene pool all sorts of undesirable traits, such as diseases like epilepsy, blindness, deafness, mental handicaps. But also it spread into things like promiscuity, drunkenness, itinerancy, um, believe it or not, just being poor, right? These were all sought as undesirable traits within the human. It's their fault. And the reason why this kind of became a focus, this training center, was because in 1927, there was a Supreme Court decision called Buck versus Bell, and this upheld a physician's right to sterilize a patient against their will. That was what the eugenicists used. They didn't just house people in these colonies, these centers. They didn't just keep them there. That was actually one of five state hospitals in Virginia that were doing this. But they were able to sterilize patients. Um, and the Buck versus Bell decision goes down as one of the worst Supreme Court decisions of all time, led by Chief Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes. Those some people might be familiar with the line "Three generations of imbeciles is enough." That's kind of was the tagline for that decision.
Hmm.
But Good Birth explores this place that is so near us, so rich in history, both good and bad. And a lot of the themes that it's it portrays just is riding parallel with what's going on right. They are different problems. They're different social issues that folks are dealing with, but we're dealing with, you know, potentially immoral Supreme Court decisions in today's world. We are dealing with reproductive freedoms. We are dealing with societal's views on who deserves health care, who deserves to live. Um, Even and this is no judge for any of you listeners, but part of the Maha movement, um, uh, our Secretary of Health, Mr. Kennedy, recently spoke about or kind of turned down the volume, if you will, on COVID, saying, COVID wasn't so bad because these folks who died were already sick. They had a lot of underlying conditions. And that to me, it's so close to, you know, who deserves health care, who deserves to live, who it almost puts the reason that they died on them, which is, in my opinion, socially irresponsible and dangerously close to the kind of eugenics movement that was happening almost exactly 100 years ago.
What's
So
that
yeah, a lot of
quote?
themes.
There's that quote, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
It does. It's rhyming. Yeah, yeah. I would actually say it's plagiarizing itself. But yeah, this play is rich. It's got a lot of themes. I think it's very relevant to the times, and we are excited to produce it and get Stageable's help in sharing it with the masses.
Absolutely. I'm super excited. The thing that really excites me about your play, Patrick, and the thing that I found so impressive was, you know, a lot of times I've worked on new works pretty frequently, because we had a program where I was in residence and you were also at the American Shakespeare Center, that was focused on new works, new classics, to go
Yes.
alongside the canon of William Shakespeare's work. And one of the things that I noticed about reading new plays is that they often were centered around a very interesting topic, but they didn't necessarily translate to something that was entertaining dramatically. And so when I read, new playwrights' work, I was thinking that might be what I was going to get. And I was delightfully surprised at how entertaining and gripping and how many reversals and changes in the plot happened and that you managed to get in there. So, I mean, and again, I'm not giving you false praise. I think it's a really exciting and fun thing to watch, which is kind of crazy considering the topic.
Yeah. 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 i- the couple things that I operate with as a couple ideas I operate with as a playwright is number one, what's the next coolest thing that could happen? And number two, what if I were an actor? Because predominantly in the theatrical arts, I was an actor. Would I enjoy saying this line? Would I enjoy performing this line? And in writing it, I realized the first time through, I just wrote a whole play of mic drops. And I was like, slow down, Patrick. You got to go back and take some of these out. You need some narrative here. Um, but the combination of both those things, um, and allowed me to basically take all of this historical exposition, this kind of dry material, because I do think putting those things in there the minutia of how court cases work and how um, the origins of the Buck versus Bell decision is very similar to how it operates nowadays, where there's a law and people either want it upheld or overturned. So they create this perfect test case and they run it all the way up to the Supreme Court. There is just a lot of dry material, but the implications of the implications of this sophisticated, learned material, it affects us on a visceral level. And I can't think of a more visceral example than, okay, here's a lot of heady lawyery terminology, but the repercussions are who gets to bring life itself into the world. And I just kept reminding myself of that. And I hope I, like you said, do it justice, to making it exciting, making it relevant. And also a little bit of Michael Shirtliff, asked myself, where's the love, right?
Hmm.
I think love is a powerful thing. I think love is a powerful thing between family. I think love is a powerful thing between strangers that are suffering the same sort of um, thing. And we explore themes like that as well, like completely, vastly different people immediately connecting and becoming friends because of this shared history and shared trauma. Um, and yeah, that it's inside look on the process of it all. But I'm thank you for the accolades, and I I hope that other folks see the way you do.
There's so many moments. I mean, there were at least 4 or 5 where, I was reading and I was like, "Ooh, what's going to happen next?" And then what came next just came as a total surprise. It's the classic Oedipus finding out that he's been sleeping with his mother. Spoiler
Yeah,
alert if you haven't already heard of that play.
it's been out a while. It's been out on DVD a hot second.
Yeah. So, Patrick, tell me why the title Good Birth?
Oh, good question. For all of you etymologists out there who enjoy etymology, if you take eugenics, which is based off of Latin, and you anglicize it, it means good in birth or good birth. And that truly was the folks that perpetuated the, um, I guess you could say, the acts of violence on these folks, these poor folks of color, and just poor folks in general, those with disabilities. They really, and this is the weird, strange thing that made it so convincing and made the argument so successful, was that they made it about the children. They're like, we want every birth of a child to be good and healthy and wholesome, and we want it all of this work that we're doing with making, babies healthy and wanting to live good lives, to eventually build up and help society as a whole. And that, if you just take that message at surface value, you can see why some folks who don't scrape to the surface or ask, well, how are you going to do that? Like, how are you going to? That's a great idea. Let's do it. Let's make every baby healthy. Let's make all the
Right.
people smart and wholesome and healthy and educated. How are we going to do that? And once you start digging a little deeper, you see that there's no way we can do this without using some pretty nefarious means to do so.
Hmm. Well, it's a really really cool play, and I'm really excited for your world premiere. That leads us to how this
Thank you.
collaboration got started in the first place. So, uh, we didn't arrive at this kind of. We came about it roundabout, right? Because initially we were looking at potentially me acting in this play, which was super
You were,
exciting.
yeah.
Very flattered that you thought of me, but when I read it, that was when and I saw how good it was. The thing that I told you was, I think the more valuable piece of the pie that I can bring to the table is to help you take it to a digital audience so that more people could experience it.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's
Yeah,
where we
it's
are today, and trying to figure out the logistics of that and make sure you and I are on the same page, and as to kind of why we're doing the digital broadcast version of Good Birth.
yeah. Let's get down to the brass tacks of it.
Because, you know, it is such a good play. It is such a good story. And one of the things that I'm working on at Stageable is trying to figure out how we can expand access. One of the classic pushbacks I get is often, oh, but we don't like the online experience. We like the in-person experience. And my response to that is always, yes, me too. I also love the in-person experience, and you can't replace it. But there's also a whole group of people out there, and not, who can't make it to Endstation Theater in Lynchburg, Virginia. There are people who live in other states. There are people who, there's a whole cast, a playwright, a whole production team who all have social networks of people who probably just can't make it to the physical world premiere, but they might really like to be involved. And so that's why we're partnering, is to try and be more inclusive, bring more people to the table, and help them experience this awesome new play.
Yeah. And I know I've talked about this before when I've been on the podcast. Thanks for having me. I think this is my third time. Um, but it's super helpful because I mean, the huge, just, you know, bear that I always think is chasing me through the woods as being an executive director of a theater is, how do I get butts and seats? And how do I break through the streaming? How do I break through the social media? I'm like, sometimes it feels like I'm shouting into a hurricane. And being able to do this, provide this experience for past uh, patrons that may have moved away, or future patrons that may go, hey, that's a cool story. I might want to click on this. That is a huge tool in my toolbox that y'all are providing me with. And it's not, and to me, like you said, it's not a if you can't beat them, join them sort of thing where we're taking live theater and making it digital. You're never going to be able to do that. You are never going to replicate the feeling of live theater unless you are in person. It's impossible. I don't know why it is. Someone smarter than me could probably figure it out. But we can at least, you know, ignite some sort of interest, some sort of flame that people have inside them, this yearning to experience real live interactions with people that will cause them to either, number one, take another look at theater and maybe someplace down the road go, hey, I want to invest in this art form. Or number two, see it and go, holy cow, this is what I've been missing. I'm going to go right now and either give to whatever theater or artists that I'm watching, or number two, buy the ticket for their next performance. And to me, I can't see another way around getting through or bridging this digital divide between live performance or art or visual art in general and the this immense behemoth of streaming services and social media that we're facing. So that's what I'm excited about. Yes, I think we did a little planning off camera, but for those of you folks at home, the world premiere June 20th of next month of Good Birth will be live streamed. This is where in post you insert the air horns, Benjamin, like that. Yeah. If you can just do that for me, just add one. Just add one. That'd be great.
You got it, man. Yeah, and the you know the exciting thing about this collaboration, because Stageable is not intended to be a film production company, because the larger point I'm trying to push at is there are a lot of theater companies and live performance companies out there, be it ballet, dance, uh, music, classical music, symphonies, these any kind of performing arts, right? But it feels like often there's only one value proposition to the people that they serve, and it is that it's come to us, buy our ticket, and see the thing that we made. And the thing that's a little hard about that is that it's kind of a big ask. And so I think it's harder for um, people who maybe haven't grown up going to live events as frequently to make that big of a commitment. So I think it's nice to be able to offer a lower entry point where you can kind of, oh yeah, it's really easy for me to buy this inexpensive ticket and watch either on, my computer, or beam it up to my TV and watch it from home. Um, and what Stageable does is connects the performers and the art that's being made with that digital audience, and just trying to find more and more ways that we can keep engaging and keep giving people value all throughout the year when they can't make it into the theater. And so that's
Mhm.
kind of where this collaboration came from, and trying to do that as well as we possibly can. And one of the ways that we can do that, I think there are many, many ways that we can bring value into people's lives from a distance. But one of those ways is taking an event online and inviting anybody who wants to attend in. And so now I'm still trying to figure out how to do this well. I've been experimenting for several years, and it is a little complicated. um,
It is, yeah.
but it's definitely not impossible. And um, Patrick, you may not be able to do it to the level that I can, but also I can't do it to the level that some of these incredible local production companies could. And so the point is, like, we just got to get out there and start experimenting and start figuring out how we can connect with people more frequently, so that the performing arts continues to exist on an independent level, right? So it's not just Hollywood, it's not just Taylor Swift. So how are we going to do that? What are we going to do?
First off, I'd like to say, Tay Tay, we love you. So it's nothing against you. You're doing great. Thank you for the good work that you're doing. Uh, but no, back to the way that we're gonna do it. I feel like the best thing we could do, like you said, for the live stream on the 20th is, and we talked about a little bit about this before off camera, was that we need to get a trailer out, just at least garner some sort of interest. So I think the best way to do that is to capture in real time what the closest we can get to, the real experience would be. So either footage from tech or dress rehearsal, those being the 18th and 19th. So I would say probably these get as much footage as we can on the 18th. Blast out a trailer. We also have some digital projections, and a little, I'm not going to spoil, but a digital sort of, not really slideshow, but has some audio going with it, going into the start of the play. So we can steal some of that to create a trailer to garner interest for the actual event. And then I think,
Yeah.
because we're gonna have such an awesome recording, make a proper trailer later on where it can people can click on a thumbnail and see if they really want to invest in the recording.
Yeah, and I think the thing that we should keep in mind is to keep it simple and keep it approachable. A lot of the times I feel like theaters either don't have a trailer, or they have a trailer that doesn't give the actual flavor of what the finished product is going to be. So,
Agreed.
I think that it should look a lot like what the live stream will end up looking like. And so it's perfect that we're planning to just kind of set up for the weekend, grab some shots, those first couple days, get a quick trailer together that really gives people a preview of what they're going to experience on the world premiere. And then we'll use that as our, hey, look, this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to feel like if you buy a ticket to the actual event.
Yeah. I think this sounds like a plan, man. I'm excited.
All right.
What do you need from me?
I think if you can send me just your production calendar, because maybe I'll come down in early on and just grab some interviews with the cast, with you, and a little bit of rehearsal footage. And that way we've got another bit of different content that we can release. One of the exciting things about doing these live streams and working on taking events digital into digital audiences is also long form content breaks up really nicely into small, digestible social media clips and educational clips that can be posted to YouTube or Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the social media networks out there that we have to keep up with these days.
Yes, so many.
So many. But I think that's great too, Patrick, because I think what it does is that's another inroad for Endstation, right? You put those little pieces of social media content up there and it leads people to discover that, oh, they can buy a digital ticket to see this play. And if they do that, then maybe the next step is now they're coming in person for their first time and they've never been to an Endstation production before. And if you can then really capture that attention and start building that relationship, then, maybe they decide to subscribe to Endstation Theater to support them on a monthly basis on Stageable. And then, who knows, 5 years down the road, they're donors. 10 years down the road, they're donors, and we're ushering in the next generation, right?
Yeah. And I think the younger generations intuitively know this, but for all of you listeners out there, this might sound a little bit like NPR, but from an Endstation standpoint, the majority of our donors are fairly large donors, not like giant, but for a little theater, a lot, like a larger amount. I'm talking $500 and over for a year, and for a small theater, that's a big donor. However, getting back to the younger generations that know this, but any of you that are listening, if you can drop like $5 like a month, or like even if that's all you can give a year, it's super helpful. And people are like, oh, maybe that won't make a difference. But if we could get 300 people to donate $5, that's, for me, that's an entire actor for a show. That is almost the rental budget for an outdoor light that we are using in a production that's happening, in downtown outdoors. And so if you can even taking that even farther, if you can subscribe for the amount that now, Netflix, that your Netflix subscription is to a theater, that would be life changing for a theater of our size. It would be it would be it would allow this theater to do things that we would never even have thought possible. Um, Bringing in more equity actors, doing bigger shows, trying to get shows like Good Birth to larger markets physically, not just digitally. So when you see this, when you think about watching Good Birth, after you watch it, not even before, after you watch it, think, was this worth it? And if it was, hit that subscribe button so you can make a difference.
Yeah, that's the whole mission, man. It's like if we can start getting theaters to understand that they can expose themselves to a global marketplace, they can start playing in the arena where, um, even small companies can have outsized returns because they strike on something that's really culturally relevant, people are really interested in, and all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
they are, they're competing on the same level as HBO or Netflix because, we've all got access to the internet. So I think it's
Exactly.
really an exciting time, and I think we've got to start looking for ways to play in that arena.
Agreed. Awesome.
Cool.
Well, I'm
Well, thank
excited,
you.
Benjamin. Thank you for having me.
Me too. This is going to be really fun, and I'm really excited that anybody who wants to will get to experience the world premiere of Good Birth by Patrick Earl. All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.